In recent years, Southeast Asia has gradually become one of the world's largest hubs for online fraud operations. Criminal networks have developed sophisticated systems that exploit social media, digital technology, and psychological manipulation to deceive victims across the globe. A recent police raid in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, provided a rare glimpse into the inner workings of these operations, revealing how carefully orchestrated scams are conducted behind the doors of seemingly ordinary offices. During the raid, Cambodian authorities entered an office located on the upper floors of a luxury building in Phnom Penh. Inside, they discovered rows of computers still running, displaying ongoing conversations with individuals in multiple countries. The screens revealed a highly organized system designed to manage and execute scams. There were internal chat groups, software used to track potential victims, and detailed scripts written in multiple languages. Police arrested 57 Cambodian suspects and 8 Chinese nationals believed to be the ringleaders of the operation. According to officials, the group targeted victims primarily in Europe, persuading them to invest in fraudulent financial schemes. At first glance, the interior of the office resembled a typical customer service center rather than a criminal enterprise. Long rows of desks were filled with computers, headsets, and mobile phones. Workers sat quietly, typing messages, sending photos, and communicating with strangers online. However, instead of assisting customers, they were actively hunting for victims. Using fake social media profiles, they approached strangers, started conversations, and gradually built relationships. Once trust had been established, they introduced supposed investment opportunities, often involving cryptocurrency or other high-return financial ventures. One of the conversations discovered during the raid illustrates how these scammers approached their targets. In a chat written in Czech, the scammer began by casually asking the victim about his age. When the man replied that he was 52 years old, the scammer quickly responded with flattery, claiming that men of that age were attractive, stable, and mature. Soon afterward, the scammer sent a photograph of a young woman along with the message, "This is me, very pretty." The photo was not genuine. It had likely been taken from the internet or from a collection of images provided by the scam organization. The purpose of such images was to create a sense of intimacy and trust between the scammer and the victim. This approach is part of a widely known fraud strategy, often referred to as a pig butchering scam. In this type of scheme, scammers do not immediately ask for money. Instead, they spend weeks or even months cultivating a relationship with their targets. They may pretend to be romantic partners, close friends, or successful investors offering guidance. Over time, the victim becomes emotionally attached and begins to trust the scammer. Only after this trust is firmly established do the scammers introduce an investment opportunity. Victims are encouraged to transfer money into fake trading platforms that appear legitimate but are actually controlled by the criminals. Once the victim has invested a significant amount, the scammers disappear, leaving the victim with substantial financial losses. Inside the raided office, investigators discovered that these scams were not carried out spontaneously by individuals, but were part of a highly structured system. One computer contained a file labeled scripts that included conversation templates written in more than 20 European languages. These scripts provided step-by-step instructions on how to communicate with potential victims. Even individuals with limited language skills could follow the scripts and maintain convincing conversations in different countries. The templates included opening lines, compliments, emotional responses, and suggestions for gradually introducing investment opportunities. In addition to these scripts, the operation relied on a wide range of digital tools. Some computer screens displayed messaging channels where scammers purchased materials needed for their activities. These included social media accounts, phone numbers, and SIM cards registered in countries such as the United States and the United Kingdom. Such resources allowed scammers to create profiles that appeared authentic and trustworthy. Lists of potential victims were also circulated among different teams, allowing scammers to quickly identify individuals who might be more vulnerable to manipulation. Another striking detail discovered during the police inspection was the strict management system within the scam operation. Records displayed on some screens showed detailed logs of employees' working hours. Workers were required to record not only their start and finish times, but also the minutes spent eating, smoking, or even using the restroom. This level of surveillance suggested that the organization functioned similarly to a corporate workplace, with strict discipline and productivity monitoring. The difference, however, was that the product being generated was deception. The existence of such operations is not an isolated phenomenon. According to a report by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the global cyber fraud industry has expanded to what experts describe as industrial proportions. Some estimates suggest that the annual revenue generated by these scams could reach as much as $64 billion US. Much of this activity is concentrated in Southeast Asia, where criminal syndicates exploit relatively weak regulatory oversight, affordable labor, and rapidly expanding digital infrastructure. Cambodia has emerged as one of the major hotspots for these online scam networks. Over the past decade, criminal groups have established numerous operations throughout the country, often in large compounds where hundreds or even thousands of people work simultaneously. Some individuals are believed to have been trafficked or coerced into participating in these activities, while others join voluntarily because of the promise of higher wages compared to typical local employment. In response to increasing international pressure, particularly from countries such as the United States and China, the Cambodian government has intensified efforts to dismantle these scam networks. Authorities have launched large-scale crackdowns targeting suspect scam centers across the country. These operations involve police raids, arrests, and the closure of businesses believed to be linked to cyber fraud activities. Officials have reported significant progress in these efforts. Since a nationwide crackdown began in mid-2025, Cambodian authorities claim to have shut down hundreds of suspected scam sites and dozens of casinos connected to illegal online operations. Thousands of individuals have been detained or deported as part of these enforcement actions. The government has also pledged to pursue not only low-level participants, but also the organizers and financiers behind these criminal enterprises. One of the most notable developments in the crackdown was the arrest of Chinese-born businessman Chen Ji, who was accused of overseeing a massive scam network worth billions of dollars. He had reportedly maintained connections with influential figures in Cambodia before being detained and extradited to China. Authorities have since frozen many of his assets, including real estate properties and businesses suspected to be connected to cyber fraud operations. Despite these efforts, analysts warn that the problem is unlikely to disappear quickly. When large compounds are shut down, criminal networks often adapt by shifting their operations to smaller and less conspicuous locations. Instead of operating massive facilities with hundreds of workers, they move into ordinary office buildings, apartments, or hotels. This makes detection more difficult for law enforcement authorities. The office raided in Phnom Penh illustrates this new strategy. Unlike the large compounds previously uncovered in other parts of Southeast Asia, this site employed only a few dozen workers. Nevertheless, with access to global communication platforms and organized databases of potential victims, even a relatively small group could target thousands of individuals worldwide. Another worrying trend is the increasing involvement of local citizens in these operations. In the past, many scam networks in Southeast Asia were primarily run by foreign criminal groups. However, Cambodian officials have observed that more local residents are now participating in these schemes. This shift complicates enforcement efforts because the networks are becoming more deeply embedded within local communities and business environments. Despite these challenges, Cambodian authorities continue to emphasize their commitment to eliminating the cyber fraud industry. Officials have stated that they intend to prosecute everyone involved in these activities, from low-level workers to senior organizers and property owners who knowingly rent spaces for scam operations. They have also expressed hope that ongoing enforcement efforts will significantly reduce or even eliminate these activities in the near future. The police raid in Phnom Penh reveals the true nature of modern cybercrime. Online scams are no longer the work of isolated individuals sitting alone behind computer screens. Instead, they have evolved into a sophisticated and highly organized industry. These operations employ structured management systems, training materials, and technological tools similar to those used by legitimate companies. Within these offices, every message, compliment, and photograph is carefully crafted as part of a larger strategy designed to exploit human trust. What may appear to be a friendly conversation or a romantic connection online can actually be part of a calculated scheme aimed at extracting money from unsuspecting victims. In an era where digital technology connects people across continents instantly, geographical distance is no longer a barrier. A scammer sitting in an office in Phnom Penh can easily communicate with a victim in Europe, North America, or anywhere else in the world. This borderless connectivity has enabled criminal networks to build a multi-billion-dollar industry that thrives on deception. Ultimately, the story of this Cambodian cyber scam site highlights the darker side of globalization and digital communication. While the internet has created unprecedented opportunities for connection and economic growth, it has also provided new tools for criminal exploitation. Combating this growing threat will require not only stronger law enforcement, but also greater public awareness, international cooperation, and improved cybersecurity measures.
Thank you for watching this story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Societal Stories.